All right. So now that we have already set up these two VLANs and subnets, that they are already connected through layer 2 via this switch and layer 2 via this switch, and then the two subnets are connected via this router
On layer 3.
on layer 3, we can now start to communicate another router that, let's suppose in real life is very far away and even has a totally different address. And so for now, we're going to have to connect these two routers, and let's see how we can do that.
The first thing we're going to do is we're going to add two computers that will be connected to the switch, and then we'll connect the switch to the router just like we did in the first and second part, in
Yeah.
lab 1 and 2.
So we're gonna do that very quickly because we already did it. Yeah, so there's a distinction here. Let's remember that this subnet is gonna have a 16-bit mask. So we should specify that it's just gonna be the two first, the eight bits on the two first,
The first two octets.
the first two octets. Yes, yes, and only and zeros in the other two because that's where I'm gonna connect all my devices. And yes, we are going to configure this switch in VLAN 903 so that it's different from the other two. So now that we have the new VLAN up and running, I can go ahead and check that it's working by pinging the other laptop. So for that, I'm gonna do ping 192.168.0.2 because I'm in the number one.
You're from 2, you're from.
No, this one is
Ah,
selected.
okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay. Dot 2.
yeah, enter. And we can see that it's
There we
working.
go. Yes.
So now we're gonna try to, you can close that, yes. We're gonna try to connect this new VLAN with the other two. And in order to do that, we're gonna configure the two routers. And the first thing we're gonna do is,
We're
uh,
going to create the network 172.0.0 slash 30. That leaves us four possible free spaces. That is 2 bits that are left, the last two on the last octet, and we can have four different combinations for it that we will all be using. We'll be using all. Dot 00 is the address of the network. Dot 11, which is the highest one we can get, is the broadcast. That means that if you send a message to that address, it's gonna send it to all the elements of the network. And dot 01 is going to be for router 1, dot 10 for router 2.
perfect.
Those are the four combinations that are possible in a uh, /30 network.
Like it says right here.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with the router, this one that says 18. And as we can see, the only, oh well, I already had that set up. So the interface in which we're gonna connect this little network with only two devices is gonna be 1, 2. So I'm gonna do that for the other router as well. And in order to do that, I'm first gonna have to
Turn it off.
turn it off and add
Um,
the new Ethernet module and turn it back on. And then I can go ahead and configure that address.
and now we're gonna be able to have the 1-2 address, that 1-2 port available on this router, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So first, this configuration dialog, I'm gonna just dismiss it for now. Enable. Then I can take the interface Ethernet 1, 2, just like the other one. And here I'm gonna do IP address That's gonna be 172.0.0.1.2, I'm sorry, and the mask, like we just said before, since we have only three possible bits, the option that's gonna left is of course 255 minus 3, which is 252. That's gonna be my mask, and let's turn that on. So now it's up and running.
Dot 2 would be the address that I mentioned that was 10, because
Yeah,
the second to last bit represents 2, and then which is right now at 1 in the last octet, and then the 0, which would be a 1, is a 0, and if it does 1, it will be 3.
Exactly. But just like you mentioned that the 1 is already used for the other device. So
the 0, 1.
The 0, 1, yeah.
Yes.
We already did that configuration earlier, and as you can see here, it says IP address 172.0.0.1, which is the one you just mentioned, and then the same mask.
Yes, and then the 003 is going to be broadcast, right?
Yeah, 003, because we only have two devices here, so that's all we have left.
And then 000 is just the address.
Is the address of the network itself.
Okay.
Okay. So now, since this is a totally new router, I also have to configure the other port for the switch, which I'm going to use the Ethernet 10. And so for now, I exit this one, and then I go back to this one right here, which is going to be the 10. And in that case, I'm going to configure the address 192.168.0.254. So for these devices in the VLAN, in the subnet, in this other subnet, they're gonna access the router through this network. That's why I'm saying that's why I'm specifying that's the gateway for this new subnet. So that's 255, and as we said before, this has a 16-bit mask. So
it's
of course
255, 00.
00. That's it. Perfect.
Two
Now
free
we're
octets.
done, and we turn it on, and it should be ready to go. So now that I have all the ports in this router configured, I can go ahead and connect them. So as we said, 10 is going to be for the switch, which I already configured this interface, the 03. So I'm going to connect it in that.
What's up with the red dot that appears on the...
It should go away in a few seconds.
Okay.
There's no reason to worry about it. And finally, we can now try to connect these two routers. And there's a distinction here.
Yeah, the one thing, we have to do it with a copper cross cable for it to work.
Which is this one right here.
Yes, you're gonna see there that the diagram, instead of being just a straight line, it's going to be a dotted line.
Dotted line. So as we said, the interface that we configured is the 1-2. So I select this one and this one. And as you can see, it straight away turned green. So which means the connection is okay.
Yes, now there is one thing. Right now we can try pinging one computer from one of the two networks to one on the other router.
Let's see if that works.
But it's not going to work because it's
work,
not.
Of course.
It's not yet.
I can clear the screen. I'm sorry. So let's try to ping that. For example, the 192.168.0.1, which is this laptop right here.
Laptop PT, laptop 4.
Exactly. Yeah. And if we try to do that, and we're gonna see. Well, first it doesn't work at all, and the request timed out because this computer here is unreachable.
It's not like the connection is not yet programmed.
Exactly. So let's do that. That's a good way to say it.
Okay.
Now.
Yeah. So the first thing that we have to do is configure the router. We have to tell the router it has access to the subnet.
Exactly. That's a great way to say that. So I'm going to specify the route in order to get to 192.9.168.0.0, which is this
It's the whole subnet.
is the whole subnet here.
It's sorry, where's the mouse? Okay. It's this subnet.
That subnet.
Yes.
And I specify the mask also. And then I'm going to tell the router which port I'm going to access that that subnet from. So first of all, we're configuring this one, right? And so the port that this router has is the 172.0.0.1. No, .2. Because
yes,
here I'm telling this router that he should connect to this one, which is the .2,
.1.
so that this is the .2.
This is .2. The other one is .1.
Yes.
Oh, right, because we just have, that's the one that we just have the 0, 1, 2, and 3 available, and the 0 and 3 are big. Okay.
Exactly. So we're done with that. Now, let's try to do it again, right? I try to ping this computer and it doesn't work. Why? Because the way the ping works is by asking the other computer to return a message so that we can know if the message actually got there.
So now you have to configure that from the other side as well.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and do that. That's it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So we do it by saying IP root. So 10.0.0.0 255 0.
0, yes.
Right, and then we go and we put the destination address as the destination address of as the address of this router.
Exactly.
And that way, anything that this sends this way, this computer will return, or well, this network will return, and anything that's sent like this way, this network will return.
So you can try it out.
Yeah, we could. Also, one thing that we could do is that because there are two networks here, we could use a subnet with one more octet that's free. And that way, we won't have to program this twice. One for 10.0.0.10 and one for 10.0.0.0.0.
Exactly.
But we will just use a single single line of a single command to program it so it can reach both subnets. So let's try that. 172.0.0.1. And
so
then
basically what you did is increase the number of devices that you can connect.
Yes, exactly.
Great.
Now we do exit, right, from here?
Yeah, or you could actually exit.
Exit, yes.
Yes.
And
then let's try the ping that we were trying to do before.
Here ping 192.168.0.2. And
usually it takes
it will take
a little while until it replies. And then
it timed out first.
Yeah, so that means the first package, because it sends 4 packages, right? The first package didn't get because it was setting up the network, but then the other 3 were okay. So now if you ping it again, since it's already set up,
it's gonna be the 4.
It's gonna be the 4 of them, most likely. Of course, you can always lose packages.
There we go. We have the 4, and now let's try one from the other side, but this time to the other network.
Cool.
Where do we stop? Terminate command prompt. There we go.
Yeah. So
we go here. Ping 10.0.1.2.
Okay.
And again, it should work. Timed out, and there we go. We have a response.
Nice.
So now we have communicated from here to here, and from here to here.
Yes.
And it works fine through these 2 routers on layer 3.
Yeah. So one last thing we can do to check our network is go to the routers and see all the tables that we have. the routing tables in this case. So let's see how that looks. IP route IP. Can I see what the command was?
Show IP route.
There you go. Show IP. And here we can see something very interesting. Since we are accessing the IP table, the routing table from this router, we see that these are directly connected, like we did with the actual cable, and the other one is accessible via this network right here, which is via this address, which is the address of the other router. So now, if I do that in the other router, let's see how that looks.
Okay, we had some technical difficulties. I put a command wrong there.
Yeah.
On this last one, we're gonna do show IP route, and you were saying, Ricardo?
Yes. So in the similar way that we saw in the other router that the two subnets were directly connected, in this case it's just one, right? It's only this one, the 192.168.16. But the other one, the other ones are also accessible via this um, router. And that's basically it. That's our experiment. In real life, we know that this these routes are assigned dynamically, but this is a very good example of how things work in an actual network.